And the countdown to kickoff is on. I am Gabe Morency. Welcome to the closing line. Let's do this thing. I've said it before. I'm going to say it again, but NFL seasons are like life itself. Time goes by pretty fast. And here we are already into week 7. I swear, man, it feels like it was like 2 weeks ago that me and Donnie were breaking down week 1 of the National Football League regular season. But here we are right now. It's a tricky card this week, guys. We've got some live movement. We've got backup quarterbacks in. I've got a lot of picks for you today. I've done a lot of research this week. I just finished doing a show earlier this morning with my guys in my VIP club over at Patreon. So I'm ready to go. I've already clicked a bunch of props, and I got a bunch of sides and angles ready to share with you right now. Let's bring in the one and only, the man himself, Donnie Rightside. What's up, Donnie?
Gabe, good to be with you again today. I don't know when the fall weather is supposed to hit the Northeast, but it hasn't hit yet, so enjoy the day here. The one interesting thing this week, Gabe, is, again, another weekend for me with no Eagles football, but I know you're right back in stress mode today, which I think, Gabe, very, very winnable game for your Buffalo Bills today, buddy.
It is, and as you can see, I'm rocking it, kicking it old school here, Jim Kelly. A very winnable football game, and I can't wait to break this game down with you. So, yeah, let's jump in right now. So, yeah, tomorrow, are you going to the football game tomorrow night?
Supposedly I am, yes. Correct. That would be correct.
All right, because, yeah, I know Big Man on Campus is going to the game.
Yeah, yes.
And we've been locked in, exactly, Don. You know, it's funny, when I spoke to Zach Jones when we started this show before the season started, he said, how do you feel about, doing a show every Sunday with Donnie? I was like, no. He said, it sounds great. But I said, to be honest with you, I don't mind. I like going to an NFL game or two during the the
same exact way as you. Yeah, same exact way. It was kind of hard because I remember when we first sat down and formulated the show coming up there, said, I'm a 20-year season ticket holder of the Eagles, and, bringing up on the show, you're missing the Giants game. It really hurts, but, I don't mind it. Like, I love talking football, love being on the show with you. You got the monitors in front of you, so it's not that bad. And then the Eagles are winning as well, so I'm still enjoying myself, Gabe, even though I haven't been there in body and spirit.
I know, dude. Look at me too, dude. The Bills are actually good. I'm missing us beating the Broncos. I would have been there. All drunk.
Yeah, you know what's funny about that, Gabe? I mean, I'm a gambler. I'm superstitious. Maybe it was me all these years sitting in the stands while we sucked.
I know. You know what's funny? I'm thinking the same thing. I'm like, well, I haven't been there, and they're doing all right, so maybe they don't need me. And for the record,
that's my thought now. Yes,
I should let you guys know the last time that I went to a Buffalo Bills game in Buffalo. I've been to Bills games. Last time I was in a Bills game in Buffalo, I got arrested. So I haven't been back since. I got
face recognition. Gabe's going to keep you out of that ballpark.
Yeah, face recognition. I'm not bad. I was asked to refrain from urinating in Orchard County for 6 months.
What were you doing? Taking a piss in the sink over there? Not enough bathrooms?
Yeah, not enough bathrooms at halftime, and I pissed against this tree, sort of in the parking lot. The stadium's a dump fuck, right? So there's like this fence that kind of connects to the parking lot. Everyone pisses there. It was a pissing state. They busted like 60 people taking a piss, but actually they threw me in the cell in the stadium. They have like cells like veterans did. They have 2 jail cells at Ralph Wilson Stadium. Trust me, Jeez. I know them well. Yeah, fucking hardcore. but nevertheless, nevertheless. So Donnie's hoping to go to the game tomorrow. Big Man's going to the game tomorrow.
Yep.
I'll be going to the Bills and the Jets game on Thursday next week in New York. So I'm looking forward to that, Bills and Jets. So let's jump in right now, Donnie. Get right down to business.
Yep.
Let's start off with the Arizona Cardinals and the LA Rams. This game is in London, but obviously it's not one of these 9:30 starts. So it's in London. Rams getting 3 points in this. Rams laying 3 points in this football game. Total is 46. Adrian Peterson reborn last week, and I don't think Adrian Peterson's going to turn himself into a Pro Bowler or anything this year, Donnie. But with that being stated, he's got a very favorable matchup this week. The LA Rams give up college-type numbers on the ground, man. They give up 139.5 yards a game on the ground, Donnie. And we saw – I was looking at the numbers. Carson Palmer was throwing like 51 times a game, 47 times a game, 44 times a game. They didn't have anyone in the backfield. When David Johnson went down to week 1, Chris Johnson couldn't get it done. Kerwin Williams couldn't get it done. Ellington could catch a couple of passes, but he couldn't get it done. And it's so predictable if you're going to throw the football 50 times. Last week, Donnie, Carson Palmer only had 22 pass attempts, and they put up 38 points in a football game. I think Adrian Peterson could be successful running the football against the Rams today. I think the Cardinals are suddenly reborn right now as well. You talked about my season win total, 8.5 being alive suddenly. And I think the Cardinals are looking at the standings in this division. And, they win this football game, they're in a first-place tie. This is go time. Big game here. I like the Cardinals in this game, Donnie.
Yeah, getting a nice break. I mean, again, this is supposed to be a LA Rams home game playing in, the Coliseum out there, but obviously now going across seas. Interesting game here, Gabe, because we've seen that most of these games being played in the daytime, in the morning, and in a dome. It's now outside. Doesn't look like the weather conditions are going to be that bad. 50-degree weather might be a little bit chilly because obviously we haven't seen that set in yet in the United States. But it'll be interesting. I never trust the footing over there. I stayed away from this football game just because obviously both teams going into a new environment. I don't really know what I'm going to get. I do think the Rams are the better team, but Gabe, all week long, if you got that 3.5 sitting on Arizona, which was out there for the majority of the week, I actually lean that direction because taking this place, taking it overseas. And again, your point on Adrian Peterson is fantastic because watching the Arizona Cardinals while they were struggling there, it wasn't even so much the offensive line. It looked like Chris Johnson aged 15 years within 2 years. I mean, 1 2-yard carries, no burst, no nothing, getting nothing out of that. And then all of a sudden you flip on the TV last week, Gabe, and after 1 or 2 carries, Adrian Peterson looks like it's circa, 2009 all over again. That is really going to help that football team out. I think the Rams are the better team here, but I do lean the points here in this game, Gabe.
And, like I said, Adrian Peterson's not going to do this on a weekly basis. His prop today is 74.5 yards. As I stated, the Rams are the second worst team in the NFL stopping the run. The only team worse are the San Francisco 49ers. So we'll take a look at Elliott's number a little bit later on when we get to that football game. I think an Elliott over prop is worth a look today, guys. I've got no prop in this game. I do like Arizona, but I am somewhat biased. I've got to play on the over 8.5. And I'm a Bills fan, but it's pretty clear, Donnie. I've got a soft spot in my heart for the Cards here.
You got to stay in it as well. We always talk about. I'm still not high on Arizona. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but wins are wins. Now, say what you want. We laughed that they beat Indianapolis in overtime, but it's a win. We laughed that they beat San Francisco in overtime. It's a win. Those wins add up, Gabe. You know what I mean? They're not losses. They're not pushes. They're not ties. Wins are wins in the NFL.
Yeah, and I don't buy into this stuff that they've been there before and this other team hasn't. Arizona's a veteran team. I don't think it's going to affect it. What I like about this, Donnie, is the fact. I'm sort of also playing against the Rams. The reality is going to catch up to them a little bit. And as well, they're a difficult matchup option for teams with all that speed that they have on offense. There are very few teams, Donnie, in the NFL that have the speed and the talent in the defensive backfield that the Arizona Cardinals do, though.
Yeah, they can shut it down. You're right. I mean, look for Gurley maybe to get it going a little bit on the ground. The one thing good for the Los Angeles Rams here, Gabe, is that you're going to get LaMarcus Joyner back in the secondary. That's going to help out. They're still a little bit banged up, but you're right. They haven't clicked yet on defense for the Rams. If you can keep Carson Palmer upright and in the pocket, he's going to have a very good football game in this one because, again, the Rams struggling a bit. And you're right. You're waiting for that, young coach, young quarterback to sort of trip up and make that mistake. This could be that spot because, as we know, Arizona's no slouch on defense. Decent front seven. They're very good on the back end. They should be able to control the passing game. And I do think McVay and the Rams get a little bit pass happy at times when they should be leaning on Todd Gurley. Should be a good football game, but you're right, Gabe. I lean towards the points here in this one.
All right, so as far as weather is concerned, weather's not going to be a factor, as you mentioned, in this game. Light drizzle this morning type of deal seems to be a common pattern today. It is raining in Green Bay, and we'll get to that momentarily. Weather's not going to be a factor in Minnesota. Weather's not going to be a factor anywhere, guys. All right. It's raining. It's not devastatingly windy or anything. A little, a couple of drops isn't going to stop anyone's offense. Baltimore and Minnesota down to 4 points right now, Donnie, and I'm perplexed. I've almost given up on this Baltimore Raven team. They're a bad team. Their offense is anemic. Minnesota are an ATM machine at home generally. To me, it's Minnesota and the under or pass. But every time you sit here and we say, Baltimore are done, they're terrible, they go out and win a football game. I don't have a strong – I'm not betting this game.
No, I'm going to be far away from this game as well. The one thing that's really interesting, Gabe, is if you try to take away some, snapshots of games last week, Baltimore's offense was awful. I believe they got, was it 1 or 2, maybe a special teams touchdown, a defensive touchdown. But overall in that team, quite banged up now on offense. The defense is going to get a little bit of boost back here because you're going to get Brandon Williams back on the defensive line. That's really going to help out with Gabe, which adds to your point on the under. He's the best player to me on that defense, going to be able to hold down the running game, just from a defensive tackle perspective on the line. He's that good. But you look at Baltimore. I mean, you watched them last week, Gabe, against Chicago Bears. Decent defense. But now you're going to be down Macklin in this game. I saw Mike Wallace is going to be probable, but the tweets that are coming out saying he looked real sluggish and doesn't look like himself. You're already without Rashad Perriman, and you're not going against Tampa Bay's defense where you say, we should be able to get some points up regardless here. That's a damn good football team and an even better defense at home. I don't know where the points are coming from Baltimore's side here, Gabe.
Yeah, I just don't know how they're going to move the football. Joe Flacco's got 1 touchdown pass and 6 interceptions over the last 4 football games. I don't see how this offense is going to get better. I do like the under. It's just, it's a low number, man. It's hard to go under this. The NFL and the modern NFL, 37 38.
Yep, you're right. Case in point, last week, Gabe, what was the Chicago Bears game? Low scoring. Oh, my God. So happy if you took like the under 40 in that one, and you blink of an eye, they blow it out of the water and score over 50 points. Points can come at any time because if your offense is really bad, it's almost a double-edged sword, Gabe, because you're going 3 and out. You're giving the other team field position. You're throwing interceptions. You're fumbling the ball. You're right. Yeah, it's just not built. Anything, unless you're giving me, 52, 53 points or higher in the NFL, it's just not built for unders.
And, you look at the Baltimore Ravens last week, and they lost to the Chicago Bears, and the Ravens' offense is so bad, guys, which leads me into the next game here. People look at the Bears against the Panthers here. So the Panthers coming off the Thursday game, Donnie, that 8-0 ATS run came to an end last week, 0-2 actually, with both New England winning outright but not covering the point spread, and then Tampa losing outright, and they both played on Thursday. So we have Carolina coming into the spot. They haven't played since they lost to your Philadelphia Eagles. Chicago Bear team that wins. So, I see people that don't pay attention really. Oh, Mitch Trubisky and the Bears are this and that. Mitch fucking Trubisky was 8-16 last week, Donnie, for 113 yards. It was Baltimore's ineptness that let Chicago win this football game. I came across an interesting number as far as the Chicago Bears are concerned too, guys. The Chicago Bears, last 7 times they've won a football game, they're 1-6 against the spread the following week. They're not a good team. It's hard for teams to win. It's hard to win in the NFL, Donnie, as you know. It's hard enough to win 2 weeks in a row if you're a bad football team. The last 7 times the Bears have been in this spot coming off a win, they're 1-6 against the spread. Oh, how you like this? Cam Newton, last 4 times Cam Newton's lost, he's 4-0 straight up and against the spread off the loss as well. The Panthers, that's what they do, the Panthers, Donnie. They'll look bad, frustrate you. They were in that game. Hell, they might have came back and won that game. Cam Newton just seemed determined to throw a fucking interception on that last drive, and then he finally did. But the Panthers generally don't lose 2-3 games in a row very often, Donnie. I think the Panthers bounce back in this spot and beat the Bears.
Gabe, I think you're right on to something here. When you take a look at the Carolina Panthers, and again, I know the last week, and the guys played on Thursday night, they lost. We'll see what happens this week with the Philadelphia Eagles and the Panthers, but rest is always nice. I couldn't bet the Panthers early in the week with Luke Kuechly out of the lineup. Looks like obviously he's deactivated. He won't be playing today. But there comes a point, Gabe, in the NFL when sometimes, you want to bet football teams, right? If you look on paper, Carolina's a better football team overall than Chicago Bears. But then there's also the value meter here. If you're looking, Gabe, 3.5 or 4 points like it was sitting early in the week, you can make a case for Chicago. They play well at home. They're going to keep it close. But when push comes to shove now, and you're seeing, Bet Online -2.5, -116, Pinnacle -2.5, 115, that all of a sudden rings a bell in my head. Says, wait a second, let me take a reevaluate back on this. If you take a look at the last 2 weeks for the Chicago Bears, which again, they're getting a lot of steam. Hey, Chicago Bears might be better than thought. If Case Keenum plays the entire football game when they played the Chicago Bears, that game is a blowout. Last week, if Joe Flacco and the Ravens offense is just one of the worst things you've ever seen in your life and just throwing interceptions left and right, turnovers out the wazoo there, and they beat that team, where are we looking at? And then you can flip and play a cause with Carolina Panthers, Gabe. Let's just say Cam Newton doesn't go berserk in the last minute of that football game with awful play calling and stupid interceptions, and they beat the Philadelphia Eagles. That line's 5.5 in favor of Carolina. If you can get something south of 3, Gabe, that's value. I would be all over Carolina at -2.5 because I just think the value is there with the better overall football team and, Gabe, coming off a rest.
I like the money line here. And I don't know what's your take. Would you rather lay 3 points or 55 cents on the money line in a game that could be close? I'd rather lay the 55
I would lay the 3.
cents.
I would lay the 3 here.
Really?
I would lay the 2.5 here in this one. Yeah. They're going to win. If I'm playing this game out, it's going to be close down the wall. I just think Cam Newton's going to be able to make more plays. And again, you're right, Gabe. I like the game plan John Fox has with Trubisky out there, but there comes a point in the NFL where maybe the other team is a little bit better, and you can't, hide Mitch Trubisky anymore. He's got to throw 35 times. And say what you want. Ron Rivera's a good defensive coordinator. They're going to be fine in this game. If it's 2.5, give me the Panthers in this one.
And the Carolina Panthers, interesting dichotomy here. They're actually 3-0 straight up on the road, Donnie. They opened up the season. They beat San Francisco 23-3. They went to New England. They beat New England 33-30. They went to Detroit. They won 27-24. And I'm starting to realize something about this. I think there's just a small little angle of this, actually. I think Cam Newton thrives off the hate of the visiting fan, of the opposing fans. You know, when he's at home, he's the big hero, and he seems to underachieve a lot. Mm-hmm. He goes on the road. He does the Superman thing. He yells at the fans in the end zone. He seems to get a kick out of it. You know, some guys like being the bad guy. They like being the villain. He seems to buy into this. You know, Carolina seemed to be loose on the road. And at home, you know, Carolina have always tightened up at home for some reason over the years with Cam Newton. I'm starting to catch on to this right now. And I'm like, man, look at these guys. They win every fucking game on the road that they go on. And Cam Newton just, every game on the road this year. The Detroit game, he was like Superman. He was fucking flexing and he was talking shit. New England, same shit on the road. Like, he just seems to get that attitude on the road. He just does. I think they're going to be fired up coming off the loss. Like you said, they were right in that game with Philadelphia. They could have won that game. They didn't play poorly. Cam just fucked up on the last drive of the game. I think they bounce back here. I don't believe, like you said, I think the talent level will be a difference maker here.
And now also
Cam Newton will just make a couple of more plays than Trubisky will.
Nope, that's all he has to do. And you're right. Ron Rivera's going to come up with a nice game plan here. It's nice because now you have a couple games on film with Trubisky of what the Chicago Bears actually want to do with them. That feeds into it. Rest, getting ready for the game. Yes, no Kuechly there is going to hurt that football team. But again, Gabe, we're not looking at the Eagles offense where you're saying, holy cow, like who's going to cover Zach Ertz? Who's going to cover Alshon Jeffrey? You know, who's going to stop this running game with the great offensive line? This is the Chicago Bears offense. So, I mean, if you're going to be down a man on defense, this is probably the week you want to be down a man on defense.
See, and our boy Ace Farmer in Carolina, he knows what he's talking about.
Ace is ready. Yeah, of course he is. Yeah. Ace would have taken him today minus 16. Yeah.
Ace is like, I like that. My metrics got Panthers winning by 9.
There you go. That's his power rankings. Yeah, right.
Power rankings. But Ace knows what I'm talking about. Cam Newton's better on the road. He just is. And I don't know what it is.
And Gabe, he's not going to be under siege either. Like you're talking about, he's not going to have to say, you need to go and get 40 points. Cam, just do your thing. Run around on third down, make a couple plays. You'll be in this football game right at the very end. Yeah.
All right, so we're in agreement, me and Donnie, on this one. And the Panthers are one of my best bets, actually, of the day. I have the Panthers on all 4 Super Contest entries that I'm part of. Next football game, I don't have actually, we have a part of it on one team. And, of course, Leonard Fournette's now out of this football game. Jacksonville Jaguars laying 3, Donnie. Total 41.5 in this football game. Colts coming off that Monday night heartbreaker. You know, they did a lot of things well, but they fell apart late and ended up losing a football game by 14 points. Meanwhile, the Jags have alternated wins and losses. Every game this year, they've alternated wins and losses. So they'd be in line for a win this week. Jags didn't play poorly last week. Special teams did them in against the Rams. And, oh, yeah, that's another thing with the Rams game that I want to get back to. That it's a tough scheduling spot for the Rams, going from the West Coast to the East Coast of Florida, back to California, and now over to London.
Did they fly back, though, Gabe, or did they just pack up in Florida and go across? Because I didn't get that.
They went back, and I think they only showed up in London a couple of days ago, actually, too. Arizona had been there all week.
That's dumb. Yeah, that's just done by them. Yeah, that is a bad move.
Okay, so this football game, so you got the Colts coming off the game here. Even without Leonard Fournette, and this is the old gun-to-head game if you had to, I'd take the Jags here because I think Chuck Pagano he's a clown. He doesn't know how to close out football games. Even if the players do a lot of things well, which they do, it's up to the coach to guide. Coaching counts, guys. Coordinating counts. Play calling counts. Chuck Pagano is incapable of closing games out. He was up by double digits on San Francisco and went to overtime. Up all night the other night on Tennessee in a big division game. You know, you can't close the fucking deal. You let Tennessee come in. The Arizona game you could have won. You know, there's no Andrew Luck, but the players are laying their heart out on the line on the Colts on the field. The coaches have to put him in a position to win a little bit. Marlon Mack's not getting on the field. You go down the list of the Colts. I don't think they're terrible, but they're terribly coached. And Marone and fucking Hackett aren't rocket sciences, but I got no faith in Pagano at all. I'd take the Jags here.
Yeah, no, if you're looking at this game overall, Gabe, again, it is a gun to your head game because looking at this game, I really just briefly looked over it. Fournette's going to be out. That is a loss, but you're not looking at an Indianapolis defense that's toned up, ready to go in that front seven. You should be able to plug and play a couple guys. They have some decent backups at running back, and I'm going to lean on the defense here, Gabe. Did you watch, Indianapolis throughout the season? They get nothing out of their defense whatsoever. This plays right into Jacksonville's hands. Keep the ball, even though Fournette's out, keep the football on the ground, run it the same way you've been doing it there. Lean on your defense. They'll make plays, and Jacoby Brissett will turn the football over if you get pressure on him. I don't like the game overall. Gun to my head, I'm taking Jacksonville as well, just because the defense is leaps and bounds better than what Indianapolis has there.
Our boy Sheldon in L.A., ugly three-teamer, Colts, 49ers. Dear God.
Yeah, don't watch the game. Yeah, if you're going to win that one, you probably don't want to watch very much of that.
Colts, 49ers, and San Diego. Come on, Sheldon. They're not even San Diego anymore. Like, your place fucked when you don't even know what city they're in. Who? What? All right.
No, you would be correct.
If it loses, you can cry about it after. I didn't even bet on the radio. Wrong team. No, I don't think Ivory will be a problem here. I don't love this game. I think the Jags get it done, but I'm not in love with this game. All right, this next one's an intriguing one, and I've got some props here. I'm ready to fire away on this football game. I look forward to your take. Lot of line movement, Donnie. Down to 3.5 right now. New Orleans Saints minus 3.5, over under 46 against the Brett Hundley-led Green Bay Packers.
Boy, I'm telling you, Gabe. I mean, I don't want to, I see the rain in the forecast, but I mean, it's an NFL stadium. It's got great drainage. There, had the, tarp on it. So it's not going to be a mockery of a field like you would think, if you just had some high school field that gets really muddy. They'll be fine in that equation. The one thing I do like is you got some fire under pressure from Brett Hundley last week. He did take a loss to Minnesota, tough environment, getting thrown in, not taking a lot of snaps. But are we overvaluing what Brett Hundley actually is? Because, some of that line was up, opening, 3.5, 5.5, depending where you're getting it. Let's just say the line opened up around 5. It's now dipped back. Everybody's sharp move here is on Green Bay. And I tend to look at Green Bay over the years, Gabe, and always used to, joke around saying, if you could take Aaron Rodgers and put him on your football team, you would probably give up 10 straight first-round draft picks, and it wouldn't matter because Aaron Rodgers is that good. Now you're going to come back and you have Hundley in a situation. New Orleans is playing really good football. They're going to move it against Green Bay. It's not like let's lean on our defense here. It's a road game. I get Drew Brees isn't very good on the road, but then again, this game is completely different if you have Aaron Rodgers back there. I'm just going to take the Hall of Fame quarterback in this one to win the football game, and I didn't bet it myself, but if I'm looking at this football game overall, I'm going to take Drew Brees and saying they can go in there and win by 6 to 10 points. I've seen it with my Eagles and Nick Foles a couple of years ago when they went to Green Bay when Aaron Rodgers was injured. I don't see that much of a pushback from that team. And I think New Orleans is going to be able to move the football, play enough defense. And I'm not buying in the Brett Hundley. Like, oh, man, if you watch the telecast on some of these shows, Gabe, it almost gives me the feeling that Aaron Rodgers is out. Doesn't matter if he comes back. Oh, Hundley's the man. You can't just coach up Hundley like that.
Yeah, there's two. You're right. I've heard some people, and there's a lot of people think he's going to be Dak Prescott. He's going to step in, and everything's going to be fine. And others, earlier in the week, I was sort of in the catastrophic mode, to be honest with you, Donnie. I was more in the camp of, man, they're in big trouble. Brett Hundley. I even threw out the Kaepernick card, but we're not going to talk Kaepernick right now. But Hundley has been there 3 years, like McCarthy said. We have 3 years invested in this guy. Mm-hmm. You remember at UCLA, he was a very good athlete. He's got a good arm. He's a mobile quarterback. He can scramble when needed. He didn't show that last week. Last week, he was in a tough spot, man. He was a little shell-shocked. He comes in against one of the best defenses in the NFL in Minnesota, one of the toughest stadiums to play. He goes 18 to 33, 1 touchdown and 3 interceptions. I like the fact that he's got a full week to get ready now, Donnie. And I like this matchup against the New Orleans Saints defense. It gives up 267 yards a game in the air. All right? Yeah, they shut out the Miami Dolphins in London. But, let's be real. And Jordy Nelson's still there. Devontae Adams is still there. They've got Aaron Jones, Ty Montgomery. You've got some weapons to work with on the offensive side of the football. The center was expected to be out. He's actually playing for the Packers right now. I agree with you as far as the Saints are concerned. And where I'm going with this is I didn't bet on the Green Bay Packers, but I bet on the over of this game. I don't mind about this rain. As long as it's not a fucking monsoon, I'll be fine. I'm not worried about the rain. I think the New Orleans Saints are going to score on the Packers. And I think the Saints, the Packers will be playing from behind a little bit. And I think that the Saints defense will give up chunks to the talent that the Green Bay Packers have. I'm betting the over in this football game. And I love the Brett Hundley prop, 225.5 yards. Because let's say you're right, Donnie, and the Saints sort of are in control of this game. Green Bay is going to be playing from behind. And Brett Hundley, I'm not saying he's Dak Prescott, but Brett Hundley is also not Scott Tolzien. You're playing a game against the New Orleans Saints, and the quarterback prop is 225.5 yards. I think Matt Stafford had that in the first half last week. That's a couple of plays to Adams, a couple of plays to Jordy Nelson. I like the over prop in Brett Hundley. I trust Hundley to throw for more than 225.5 yards in this game.
No, yeah, I mean, I think you're on this. I mean, look, just last week alone, Gabe. You're talking about playing from in front, 45-10, middle way through the third quarter. In the blink of an eye, New Orleans looked like they're about to lose the football game. So they're not really that type of front-running offense. And Sean Payton, as you know, Gabe, Sean Payton's going to call a game. You're going to have Drew Brees back there. They're still chucking it around. They're up 45-10, Gabe, and they're going 3 and outs, throwing 3 straight incomplete passes. So no matter what offense you have for New Orleans, they're going to extend the football game. So I like the fact that if you're looking at Hundley to get over his pass yards, New Orleans typically helps you out with that because they don't change their offense for anything. Late third quarter, we're up a touchdown. Let's grind it out down the field. That's not what they do, which is going to give you a lot more chances. The only thing I get a little bit, worried about is, Randall Cobb, Devontae Adams, Jordy Nelson, good wide receivers. They're made great because of Aaron Rodgers. I want to see if Brett Hundley can do the same things. But you're right, an extra week of help. Usually, this is the best start for a backup quarterback because he's thrown into the fire. He has a week to get ready. There's not really a book on Brett Hundley on what he wants to do. So if Mike McCarthy can get some good play calls going, they're going to have some plays getting him out of the pocket that you've never seen on tape, which is a nice thing to have. So if you're going to take a Brett Hundley back team in this situation, this is the week to do it against this defense. So I can see where you're coming from on that total prop there.
All right, so Green Bay right now, the weather, 54 degrees. It's raining. Wind, it's 12-mile-an-hour winds. But, Donnie, you live on the East Coast like I do now. And you know the deal, when it's just sort of the first day in October or something that it's a little cold. And you get caught out in your summer wear still, or you only got a little hoodie on. And you're like, holy fuck, it's fucking cold, man. And then you get home and you look and you're like, oh, shit, fuck. It was only 62 degrees. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
And that first sort of, it gets overblown. These are professional athletes. I see people in the chat blowing up about this. I'm of the belief as well that rain doesn't automatically mean an under, Donnie. Guys are sliding around, fuck. Guys, slippery football sometimes lead to fumbles, turnovers, better field position. We're talking.
Yeah, how many times have you seen a slant pass in the rain where the DB falls down? It's a 75-yard touchdown when it should have been a 6-yard gain. You're right. Absolutely. Yeah, how about a fumble and a punt return or a kick return? Or you run up the middle and you just lose the football because you lost the grip on it. Somebody knocks it out. You're right. Rain to me doesn't.
And the weather, Donnie, too, it changes, dude. Fuck. So it's fucking raining, for 20 minutes. It stops. You know what I mean? It's not going to be a fucking downpour for fucking 3.5 straight hours.
It's not Miami, where it's you're just gonna ruin your field in about 15 minutes.
Hurricane Maria going to hit Wisconsin today? All right, it's raining. Fuck. All right. Oh my God, they're on. They better cancel the game.
Yeah, exactly. No, you're right about that. If it's the heavy wind and they say the rain, it just doesn't. You don't go out and be like, oh my God, it's raining a little bit here. We're not going to be able to move the football. These guys don't change their game. It's not the 1940s anymore. We just line up and run a wing tee and power up the middle if it's raining and the field sloggy. These guys sling it all over the place. Still, it doesn't matter.
All right. So interesting game here. Total 46. I'm going with the over. I'm not going to be. I'm not going to lie, Donnie. I'm trying to talk myself into this because all week I fucking like the over of this game. Yeah. And now I'm not going to be like, oh, I can't take it because it's raining. So I got to fucking accept it. If there's a tornado hitting the stadium, I'll say, all right. Yeah. But whatever. It's fucking showers. Big deal. Fuck. I'll deal with it.
It's New Orleans, Gabe. It's New Orleans. They're going to throw the football, and they're usually going to play bad defense. If you're taking unders in New Orleans games, you're losing your hair. So New Orleans is built for overs. That's what you can lean on there. Their game plan's not going to change. Ingram or the running backs, Kamara, whoever's going to be in there, Ingram, they're not going to have any problem in this football game running. And neither defense is great. That's what you look for.
Exactly. You got bad defense, mediocre to bad defenses sliding around, playing against about 9 Pro Bowlers on offense. Exactly. There's going to be there's too much speed on the field. It's not like Michael Thomas is going to be fucking sliding and falling down every play. Okay, next game, best bet. This is my best bet of the week. I'm locked in. Can't be talked out of it. Maybe you can try, Donnie, but I like the Miami Dolphins in this football game. I like the fact that they came back in the second half. It's amazing what a difference. You and I were talking at the half, and me and Donnie, we back at halftime, guys, if you're unaware.
Yep.
It's halftime. Me and Donnie stay until all the halftime games are done. We go over all the lines. But Donnie, we look at this Miami Dolphin team last week at Sunday, and I asked you, what do you think of the Dolphins in the second half? And what about the over in the second half? And you were like, well, if Matt Moore comes in, and everyone, Twitter was blowing up. Everyone's like, well, this Cutler experiment didn't work out, coach.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fucking bust. We're losing 17-0. It's a fucking embarrassment. Get him out of here. Fuck. Get Moore on the field. Smoking Jay saves his ass. The defense, though, what I like about this is the Dolphins' defense. And we can talk about Cutler till we're blue in the face. But you look at the Miami Dolphin defense, that game that you and I watched, you and I were following closely, that game against Tennessee. It was Castle, but the defense did their job, held them to 10 points. Last week, shut out the Atlanta Falcons in the second half of that football game. The Miami Dolphins are the third best ranked defense in the NFL as far as points allowed, yards, and all that crap. They're playing good football on defense. Cameron Wade's come alive. He's got like 3.5 sacks in the last 4 games. They're getting after the quarterback. There's so much focus on Cutler because he's a goofball. People aren't really realizing that the Dolphins defense is playing elite football right now. You've got a revenge situation from 3 weeks ago when they played, when you and I were both on the Jets in that game.
Yeah. Yep.
And the Dolphins were laying 6 then. Now they're laying 3. People don't realize the Dolphins are fucking, the Dolphins are fucking 3-2. As bad as the Dolphins, they're 3-2. They win this game, they're 4-2. The Dolphins aren't coming into the locker room today going, this is a shit show of a season. They're like, damn, we're 3-2 and we're about to beat the Jets. Fuck.
No, you're right. And let's take a look at Jets home versus Jets away. Open up the season at Buffalo, 21-12 loss. You go out to Oakland, you got embarrassed. All right, you played Miami, who was a really bad football team at that time, and you beat them 20-6, but you were at home. Jacksonville the same way, 23-20. You were at home. Nice win. You go in the Cleveland game. They were outgained in that football game and should have lost that game on the road, but say what you want. I mean, they beat the Cleveland Browns, and then you have New England at home. Let's not forget, you geared up for that New England game. You were up 14-0. You should have hung on. You lost that game. Not to say that there's a hangover going to South Florida, but Gabe, Jets at home in front of their own fans early in the season, decent wager that we picked up on. Now you're going on the road in the division outside of your comfort zone. And for all intents and purposes, you haven't played that well on the road, So if you're going to lean on one situation, you're not asking, again, Miami Dolphins to cover 7.5, win by double digits. You're just expecting Miami to go down there and win the football game, hand it off to Jay Ajayi, work your play action, play your good defense. Because at the end of the day, Gabe, look at the Jets offense. They're not just going to run up and down the field on the Dolphins. The Dolphins will be home. Nice win last week. You galvanized your season. You beat Atlanta on the road. Hey, guys, maybe we are a decent football team. We can get this going. I agree with you here. I haven't played the football game, but if I'm playing the game, I'm taking the short team favorite at home versus a team I don't really trust on the road here in the New York Jets.
Yeah, and you know what? I like where you're going with that. I think there is an emotional toll that's taking its place. Give credit to the Jets. They've been playing on adrenaline from going from an 0-16 projection to winning the games, and everything fell into place for them. But I think now they're going to be – I think it'll catch up to them here by the time the second half arrives. And the thing is, the Dolphins are hard to move the football on, especially at home. The Dolphins only give up 10 points a game at home. The third-ranked defense scoring, fourth-ranked defense in the NFL against the rush. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be a lot of challenges for the Jets to move the football in this game. And remember we talked about I know you play DraftKings and the millionaire stuff. Yep, so sure. I like Jarvis Landry this week, man. If you notice, he's getting a ton of fucking targets again. Devontae Parker's out of this game.
Out. Yep.
I like that. I like that. Similar situation to when we called it with Robinson out in Jacksonville.
Yep.
Cutler usually throws about fucking 5 or 6 of these throwaway bombs to Parker. He really forces it to Parker. And, you get interceptions, you can get a sack, it can be incomplete because they only hit one of them once in a while.
Yeah.
This, to me, focuses the ball more on Ajayi. And, this is the deal with Ajayi. And, if you own Ajayi in a fantasy team, it drives you crazy all the time because they got to consistently give him the fucking ball. And they don't consistently get him the fucking ball. But I'll tell you what, last week he got going. He rushed for like 100, 130 yards last week. He got going specifically in the second half. I got to believe that they're going to get Ajayi more involved here today at home. And I think Ajayi could have a big day running the football on this Jets defense as well. Dolphins win this football game, guys.
No, I agree with you in there. And if you're looking from yesterday, the Hurricanes played home there and really chewed up that field. So, if you're sitting back, you're Jay Cutler, hand the football off. You have a better offensive line. You should be able to move it versus the Jets. If put it this way, Gabe, if Miami comes out and just plays a normal football game on offense, what I mean by that is maybe one turnover, gives Ajayi 20 to 25 carries, they're going to win this football game. The only way they lose this football game is they let Cutler throw off his back foot. He's under pressure. He's just doing Jay Cutler things. Keep him under wraps. Let him throw 25 times or so in that range. Hand it off to Jay. Gabe, in this game, a punt is not a bad thing versus that Jets offense. If you're in trouble, instead of throwing it away, just take the sack, live the fight another day. Don't throw the pick. If they turn it over one time or less, Gabe, Miami, they win this football game by more than 3 points.
All right, Don, let's talk about my Buffalo Bills. I think you'll attest to this. I haven't been overly a homer with my Bills thoughts right before games this year.
No. Not like somebody else we know, Gabe, right? No.
Yeah, it's not like you every week I'm sitting here. Hey, guys, the Bills. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I don't want to name any names. The BMOC. I don't want to name any names about, who, I don't even have to ask big man on campus who he likes tomorrow in the game. Fuck. He loves the Eagles, laying the points. He thinks I like the Redskins tomorrow. And he's like, you just hate the Eagles, Gabe. It's true. Yeah,
Gabe, by the way, I keep on hearing the raps around like SBR and Twitter. Like, is there some stigma there that you took the Redskins week 1 and that didn't work out well for you? That's still making the rounds over here.
Yeah, thanks to Babano. Guy's fucking taking cheap shots at me about a football game 7 weeks ago.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah. The best is I poor big man. I think I took too many shots at him because after opening night, the Raptors kicked the shit out of the Chicago Bulls, right? But the Bulls didn't have anybody. So Saturday, so I looked at the schedule and I see the Raptors are playing the Sixers. Mm-hmm. So I tweeted, big man. I said, it's nice to see the Raptors get another tune-up preseason game before the real season starts against the Sixers. Yeah. And he was like, yeah, we'll fucking see Saturday. And then we saw what happened last night.
The 30-point beatdown. I was checking my phone. I was out, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. The Sixers were on tonight. As soon as I checked, I just did that double take. And it's like, yeah, I don't have to check that score anymore. Yeah, that was a beatdown.
It was a bad spot for Philly after playing on Monday. Yeah. And for the record, the Raptors, after playing the Bulls and the Sixers, that's like playing JV shit. That's like Duke opening up with Alcorn State and Detroit Mercy. But for the record, the Raptors play the Spurs in San Antonio Monday and the Warriors on Wednesday, so we'll find out more about them.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, so the Buffalo Bills, I'm going to get right down to business in this football game. For the record, I like the long field goal prop over 43.5. Weather's not a factor in Buffalo today. We've all seen, guys, Hoshka's a fucking machine. Donnie, I've given you this. We've hit this almost on a weekly basis with Hoshka here.
Yes, you have.
The guy's perfect from 50+. We see that McDermott's not shy to let him try a long field goal. He hits them. Both home games, man. He's hit 50-yard plus field goals. It's 43.5. It's too low. There's always perception, the weather's going to be shit. It's pretty much because Nick Folk's the kicker of the other fucking team. But that's besides the point. But let me keep this breakdown simple, Donnie. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are fucking money burners. They're 1-4 against the spread. The only game the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have covered was that first game when they hosted the Bears. When they played, they had the bye week, the off week because of the hurricane. So they tattooed the Bears. They haven't covered a game since that week. Like, there's nothing to like about this team. So they haven't covered. They got gashed last week on the fucking ground by 32-year-old and Adrian Peterson. They're going from Florida to Arizona, back to Florida, now to the East Coast in Buffalo, an early start time. I know it's not East Coast, Tampa's East Coast still, but it's still, early in the fucking day against a well-rested Buffalo Bill team coming off a bye with a fucking fierce-ass defense. And I don't want to hear the Bills didn't play anymore. We're in the fucking week 7 now, guys. The Bills give up 14 points a game. They have a good defense, okay? They're going to fucking terrorize. I'd be more scared if it was Ryan Fitzpatrick. I'm glad as a Bills fan. And it's crazy. The number went down because Winston's playing. I don't think Winston's even that good. Winston hasn't progressed from year 1. Winston's got a bad throwing shoulder. He's going to fucking get, if he gets hit, he could be in fucking trouble. And now let's get to the coaches. I think we talked about Chuck Pagano. Chuck Pagano's a fucking moron. Dirk Cutter might be like as bad, if not worse. Todd Monken might be the worst offensive coordinator in the entire National Football League. They have zero leadership on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So no one's going to step up and say, all right, guys, let's stop being punks. You got a bunch of flaky guys. Doug Martin's getting popped for drunk driving. Jameis Winston's a flake. Mike Evans is a fucking prima donna. They have no fucking leaders on this team. Their fucking coach is an old fucking professor staring at his fucking chart all the time. Todd Monken was a coach at Southern Mississippi, has never been an offensive coordinator in the NFL before. To me, the Bucs are a fucking mess. The Buffalo Bills win this football game. Lay the points.
You know what, Gabe? The more I look at the game, I didn't have a wager on it, but I capped it all week long. And I think it comes down to the simple elements of what you like in the NFL, where you try not to overthink a few type of things. The one thing I really like in this game, Jameis Winston gets knocked out last week. It wasn't like, a bruised shoulder or, a little bit of a bum knee. That's his throwing shoulder. That's always going to have a hitch. And I don't care if he sat out all week and he did some stuff on Friday and threw a football. When you have that sprain of your shoulder, that means, Gabe, when you step up in the pocket and the rush is bearing down on you, you're not so willing to, take that extra step and launch a 50-yard bomb and take one right in the sternum. Look for that to be a little bit of a factor. But let's get back to Tampa Bay on its edge here. Where's their big win this year? Wow. Chicago, opening day on their first road game, 29-7, sitting at home in the comfy confines where you're rested and ready for that one. Week two, or should I say their week two, you go to Minnesota, you got detonated in that game, 34-17. It wasn't even as close as the score had. Then you come home and you play the Giants, who are an absolute mess, who had you on the ropes late in the fourth quarter until you kicked the field goal with no time on the clock to win that one.
They hit one big pass play to Evans late. They should have lost. They nearly lost that game to the Giants.
Yep, and then you're watching the New England game and say, well, hey, 19-14, you played them good. You had them home on a Thursday. And let's not forget, Gabe, that game was 19-7 before some ridiculous plays on a drive where, the Patriots were playing prevent defense to make it 19-14. And let's go to Arizona last week. Oh, 38-33, they played them really well. They got destroyed in that football game. Don't let that late score, fool you on what Tampa Bay did. So case in point here, if we're looking on the road at Minnesota, you got killed. On the road at Arizona, you got killed. Now, let's take a look at Buffalo. When you flip these
Donnie, sorry, I just want to add with Tampa. Common theme there, what you're talking about, lack of heart. You know what I'm saying? No leadership. Like
killer instinct.
Yep. We're getting, when things don't go well, it's, oh, boy, we suck. And continue on here on the Buffalo side of things. But you're right. You see, every time Tampa gets punched in the mouth, they don't get up. They don't punch back.
Yeah, so if you go to Buffalo and you say, all right, you opened up against the Jets, division rival. Nobody thought much of the Jets. Jets are going to go 0-16. Turns out, Gabe, Jets are a little bit better than we all thought. You beat them 21-12. You go to Carolina, tough team to play on the road. You lose, you don't look good on offense, but it's 9-3. You played right with them. Then you're going to play Denver at home. 26-16 winner there. You go to Atlanta, I say what you want. Okay, Julio Jones was out. You still have to go out and win that football game, and you did that. And then you go against Cincinnati and lose 20-16. There's a common theme there, Gabe, between these two teams' schedules as well. That's a tough run. Carolina, Denver, Atlanta, Cincinnati, and you played, quote unquote, well in all those games. And let's not forget, Gabe, one of the biggest things in the NFL, one team is rested and ready. Well, one got knocked out on the West Coast where their quarterback is hurt. Yes, Levante David, Quan Alexander are coming back. The only thing that would give you pause, Gabe, if you're betting with the Buffalo Bills today, is the way it seems like you want to beat Tampa Bay is through the air because their secondary is struggling. I'm not sure that Buffalo will be able to do that, but Sean McDermott's a very good coach, Gabe. He's had 2 weeks to get ready. You're rested and ready to get home. And again, Gabe, you're just asking them to win by 3, not by 2 touchdowns. I like the Bills here. Yeah,
you're right. What helps is, well, Sean McDermott's a great coach. He's doing a great job. Well, great coach, good coach. He's first-year coach, good coach. He's a better coach than Dirk Cutter. I like the fact they get Jordan Matthews back this week. That helps a little bit. I know, it's not Jerry Rice, but nevertheless, it gives Tyrod Taylor. We talk about it. Tyrod Taylor's better at home. There's just that big dichotomy. The Bills are better at home. They get fired up. They feed off that fucking crazy crowd and shit. There's a lot of excitement around this. And the Bills have played well against the NFC. They're 6-0-1 against the spread the last 7 times they played against NFC teams. I think the Bills get this done. I really do. I think the Bills, they're a physical team. I think they're going to be able to wear out that Tampa Bay, rattle Winston. In fact, I'd be surprised if Winston finishes this game, which actually scares me because Fitzpatrick could come in and fucking do something, and get it done here. But I think, and also the Bills' ground game's been struggling as of late. And the last couple of years, they've been elite running the football top in the NFL. And it's this Dennison dude, new offensive coordinator from Denver. And they started having a lot of those pulling and trap type schemes. And Incognito and McCoy went to him and they said, listen, let's go more forward. We have a good thing going here. I think McCoy gets on track today as well. Yeah, they've spent the last 10 days, the last 2 weeks, this Bills team, they're very concerned about this. They know they don't have a passing attack, and the rushing attack hasn't been there. They know they need to make this work. I would expect a heavy fucking dose of LaShawn McCoy today, Donnie.
Yeah, and I'm not in love with the Tampa Bay offensive line. And outside of, Charles Clay going down, which is not optimal, he's been out a couple. You're ready to play with this. You're game plan for it. And the Bills are healthy at this point. You have a lot of nickel and dime injuries there on Tampa Bay, most notably your starting quarterback. But, the Levante Davids of the world, Quan Alexander still recovering their ankles and hamstrings. Yeah.
O'Leary's been okay. The Jack Nicklaus's grandkid.
Yeah, Florida State kid.
And, let's add this shit up, too, as far as from gambling numbers here, okay? And these aren't trends; these are facts. All right. So the Buffalo Bills are 4-1 against the spread. The Bucs are 1-4 against the spread. The Buffalo Bills are perfect at home, 2-0 at home. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers haven't won on the road. There's not a lot on the Tampa Bay ledger here really coming into this game. The only thing is, you have Jameis Winston and Mike Evans. So unless you think that they're going to light up the Bills and they're going to throw the ball all over the Bills, and the Bills aren't going to be able to get to Winston. And the Bucs line isn't that good, and Tyrod Taylor is going to totally suck at home. I like the Bills in this game, but let's move on so we can get to the other games we got held up here. Total 42.5. This game, Donnie. Everyone was liking the over in this game early in the week, including myself. Every capper I spoke to, even Babano was talking about the over. Big man talking about the over. Tennessee and Cleveland down to 42.5 right now, this total.
Yeah, dipping down a little bit. I'm actually kind of surprised at that. The one thing that's actually nice on game day is you got McCourty and Jabril Peppers both out of the football game. And again, I always get back to, Gabe, when you have bad football teams. Like Cleveland barely participated last week, Gabe, and that game went over the total. Now, it took a Kevin Hogan touchdown the last minute to get it, but they were non-competitive in that football game.
Weather not a factor, Donnie, in Cleveland right now. I'm looking right now, 74 degrees, sunny, no problems.
Yep. And what I'm going to like about Marcus Mariota, practice full week, so maybe he is a little bit more effective on the read option. Both running backs are going to play. You're also going to get the tight end back for Tennessee also. But you're looking at overall, it's more of like the Cleveland factor that you go in. Yes, they played a 17-14 game versus the Jets, but now you have Deshaun Kaiser back in the mold. There's two things he's going to do. He's going to be able to get out of the pocket, make plays. He's also going to turn the football over, which is great for an over-under. And if you watched last week with Tennessee, their defense is not the greatest in the world. Again, say what you want about Houston. You still have to go on the road as Cleveland and play a decent Houston schematic defense that held Cleveland down. They were embarrassing, but once again, the other team just gets over on that Cleveland defense. Now, looking at Cleveland last week, Houston did whatever they wanted to the football team. I'm going to say that Tennessee is that good as, the Houston Texans are. No, I'm not going to say that. But now you're down two of your starting defensive backs for Cleveland. Hey, if the game ends up, Gabe, 17-10, then it just ends up 17-10. But you're going to give me Kaiser in this game with a bad football team with nothing to gain if they win or lose. They're going to throw the ball all over the place. I see that game going over.
I think there'll be some big plays as well. And what do we see from Marcus Mariota last on Monday Night Football against the Colts? A little bit of a slow start. He hadn't played in a couple of weeks. A little bit of a slow start. And then we saw in the second half, he started to get more comfortable. And we saw it came alive. He started to get more comfortable. I think this carries over into it. Guys, we'll put this, and this is where fantasy can help you capping. But it's kind of simple, basically. But, yeah, the Cleveland Browns, from a total standpoint here, Donnie, the Cleveland Browns, every quarterback that they played this year has finished in the top 4 in fantasy football points. You know what I mean? Yep. So what's that tell you? That every fucking quarterback that played the Cleveland Browns this year has fucking lit them up, essentially, and put up big numbers. So Mariota is going to do just that. They're surprisingly 2-4 to the under this year, the Cleveland Browns. Another thing with the Browns here, listen, they're 1-5 against the spread. I know people are always trying to talk themselves and give them reasons into taking the Browns. I mean, they're 1-24 in their last 25 games straight up. They're 1-5 against the spread this year, 0-6 straight up. It's kind of tough to talk yourself into the Browns here. I don't like this game. I like the over. I'll bet the over 42.5 with you. Well, I liked it at 45, Donnie, so I like it at 42.5 still. I'll bet the over, but I don't have an opinion on the side.
Yeah, and again, it just gets down to your simplest form of gambling. If you look at everybody out there, just pay attention to this. We say it every week, it seems like. just if you look at the game, cross the Cleveland Browns off the list. Make a case for Tennessee. If you can't make it, just move on. Do not fall into that trap and say, boy, man, they're getting 6 points here. Tennessee's off a short week. It doesn't matter. When your whole organization is dysfunctional, you can't even get the right plays on the field. You can't take Cleveland in any situation this year. It doesn't matter. Cross them off the list. Try to build a case against them. Otherwise, just move on. There's better games out there.
All right, Donnie, let's shake things up this week, actually. And, I always find this, and it took us 7 weeks, but, we're like a football team. We got to improve our plays, right? Like our play calling and stuff. So, we fire off our best bets at fucking 12:58 in a rush and shit like that. And it's tough for guys to get them in. So we've already gone through all the 1 o'clock games now. We'll get to the 4 o'clock games in a minute. And, of course, me and Donnie are going to be back at halftime, and that's when we really take a look at the 4 o'clock games again. But now we still have 10 minutes. So what are your best bets of the day? So guys that want to tail you can get this shit in right now.
Yep. Yeah. We'll give out again. We'll keep them hanging there. I have an extra one there. I'll give out on when we come back on the halftime for a 4 o'clock play. But I'm going to go with 2 plays here.
Hanging, Donnie. That's some pro media shit there. That's what we call it.
Yep. We're going to
dangle. Yeah, exactly.
Tease. Yep. We'll go 2 plays at 1 o'clock here, and I'm going to keep it square. I like to usually build and be contrarian, but we'll go Carolina Panthers here, Gabe. Prevailing line out there, bet online, which I use, -2.5, -119. I'll lean on that just to get a victory out of the Carolina Panthers. I know a lot of people out there going sharp on the Bears. I'll go against it. I'll go square. I think Carolina's overall the better team in the game we just talked about, Gabe. Let's go over 42.5 on that Cleveland-Tennessee game. I'll lean on those 2 picks for my closing line winners this week. And again, I'll have another one back at the half that we'll feast on at 4 o'clock as well, Gabe.
Well, since I'm a degenerate, I got a couple of more picks, but
yeah, come on. Empty that account out, Gabe. I saw the tweet.
Yeah, we're on the same page on the Carolina Panthers. I like the Carolina Panthers a lot. We talked about this game earlier. I like the fact prolonged week. Trubisky's good, but he's getting a little overrated. I think Carolina without Kuechly can cause him some problems. We're going to lay the 3 with Carolina in that game. Miami Dolphins -3. Loading up. Love this spot with the fish here. I think the Dolphins get not an easy win because, and for the record, Jay Cutler, guys, is 14-30-2 against the spread in his career as a home favorite. So it's kind of dangerous, but it's only 3 points. We're not asking for a lot here. So I like the Miami Dolphins -3. We're going to circle the wagons with my Buffalo Bills. -3, and I like that long field goal prop in the Buffalo Bill game over 43.5. So best bets: Panthers -3, Dolphins -3, Bills -3, long field goal over 43.5 in the Bills game. And if you really want to push it, I like the over 46 in the Saints Packers game. I like the over in the Titans Browns game. And I really like that Brett Hundley prop over 225.5 passing yards, Donnie. That's what I'm doing early here.
Yep. So I'll stick with those 2 out there. You got a couple in play as well. We'll have a lot of fun. But that's nice because now we got an extra couple minutes to, sort of digress. Everybody out there, the live chat box can get out there. Yeah. See that?
Yeah. Just, a little audible, Donnie. Call a little audible there,
Beautiful. Subtle. That's a professional move by you right there. Yeah.
I appreciate that. There's a little subtleness there. I've been around a while, All right. So, exactly. It feels way less rush now suddenly for some reason. It's all subconscious.
Like what are we going to do? What are we going to do with ourselves? We got 5 extra minutes here.
6 minutes now. All right, Cowboys. Speaking of 6 minutes, Cowboys and 49ers. CJ Beathard comes in, starting quarterback right now. Donnie, I look at this football game and I keep on coming back to the same feeling that the Cowboys are going to get all that they can handle, that they win a close one, but I don't want to lay 6 with the Pokes here.
No, I'm on the same wavelength because how much you take a CJ Beathard coming in, and he played well in the second half, moved the football, what it is, but he's still coming in again, making a start. The Dallas Cowboys are coming in rested here. They don't know how long they're going to have Ezekiel Elliott for, so they're going to want to feed him the football, try to rack up these wins before he possibly gets a 6-game suspension. And again, they're the better overall football team. But you're right. You want to say what? The best 0-6 football team of all time might be the 49ers because they play everybody tough.
They play hard, Donnie. They're not a team that quits. You know what I mean? You know that. They play hard every week, these guys.
You got Beathard and you have Hoyer in the game as your quarterback and not very much else on offense outside of like Carlos Hyde. Pierre Garçon, say what you want, but again, they're hanging around everything. And that number actually surprised me when you see it, Gabe. The Dallas Cowboys, say what you want. It's not last year's Dallas Cowboys. What are they, 3-2 at this point? And then heading on the road here to play San Francisco. You're asking them to win by double digits. I'm going to stay away from the football game, but I see the 6.5s out there. You see all the Twitter guys, hey, man, they're going to blow them out this week. San Francisco doesn't have much, and Bettors playing. If I have a quarterback I don't have much of a game plan on just yet, I'm going to sort of stay away. And again, it's a road favorite, which is really hard to win by a touchdown or more on the road. Can you see it happen with Dallas? Sure you can. I'll stay away from it, but yeah, I mean, I don't like much of it. I know everybody's pegging that over in that game too.
You know, Donnie, I see warning signs written all over Dallas here in this game, dude. I really do. It's like you said, you can't sit here and make an error. We got a kid making his first start out of Iowa. He's got a nice chemistry going with the Kittle kid, the tight end. They're both Iowa Hawkeyes. Carlos Hyde's playing good football. Defensively, they get gashed on the ground, which is a disaster facing Elliott. There's not a lot of X's and O's that I can hang my hat on here, like you stated. But the NFL is more than just X's and O's. And this Dallas Cowboy team's not fully in sync this year. Now you got a couple of dudes talking about challenging Jones and the anthem shit. That shit's still continuing on in the room, you know. To me, it's a dangerous way to make a living trying to lay 6 with the Cowboys on the road. The Cowboys are a good road team, but in these big games and shit like that, and when they're getting points, you know, asking the Cowboys, you got to win by an even touchdown here and an extra converted extra point, dangerous. Cincinnati Bengals, this is a fun game. I'm looking forward to this one. You know what I'm doing on this one, Donnie. You know, I'm doing the Tiger stripe, Tony the Tiger. Give me the Bengals, but fuck, I'm not alone on this. It's down to 4 from the 5.5 earlier in the week. What's your take on this one?
Yeah, and Pinnacle even flags a couple of outlets out there, Gabe, showing up 3.5 with, double juice or a little bit less than double juice. So you know the money is right when it's coming back.
That's a sharp book, too. So people are fucking, that's sharp guys betting this.
Gabe, 6 down to 3.5 is a massive move, especially when you're looking at a game that's probably going to be bet so heavily like a Pittsburgh Steelers game is going to be. Here's what the best part is, Gabe. You know, Cincinnati lays back in the weeds. They're off last week. Everybody watches Pittsburgh. God damn it. Pittsburgh went in there and just housed, the Kansas City Chiefs in their own environment and took them to school. And then you see them coming back like, ooh, Pittsburgh's getting home. They're finally getting right. And then you go, wait a second. The line is 3.5 here, and nobody really gives the Bengals respect. That's a stone-cold Cincinnati line. I'm going nowhere near it because I was trying to build a case for Pittsburgh Steelers all week, and every minute that line drops, I'm just saying, so what are they saying? A.J. Green for 2.25 this week, 2 touchdowns, a rested team. They're going to hand the football off. You get a little bit of a lag. I mean, it is a division game, so you don't think Pittsburgh's looking past it. But overall, looking at that line as it's crashed during the week, it's pretty crazy, man. You know what?
I see the Steelers just 2-7 last 9 times laying points at home right now. 2-5, 2-5 last 7.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
These teams, they hate each other. Like, for real, there's a lot of fake rivalries in the NFL that might have been rivalries at one point, but the players don't like each other genuinely. Like, they would fight in the fucking tunnel if they could. Always close games, 24-20, 24-16, 18-16, 16-10. Cincinnati's played themselves back in this, and I remember telling everyone this when they were playing the Packers that week, and everyone, they're done, the season's over. They battled tough. They hung in here. And remember I said, Donnie, they look at the division that they're in, and they know they're not out of it. This is we're right back in the season type thing if they win this football game against Pittsburgh. It's, Andy Dalton always finds a way to fuck these games up at some point in time. And if we're getting 3.5, he'll fuck it up, we'll lose by 4. If we're getting 4.5, he'll fuck it up, and we'll lose by 5. It almost seems inevitable. But I've got to take the underdog in this game, Cincinnati Bengals. We'll break it down more later in the day, but I'm leaning with the Bengals plus the points in this game. The Charger-Bronco game is one game I really can't get my hand on. We got 1 minute left here, Donnie, quickly on this.
Yeah. Yep, sure. No,
I got nothing on this.
No, I have my 2 cents on this one. I'm trying to build a case for the Chargers as the week goes on, but then you see Gabe later in the week. If you're going to tell me, your best wide receiver, Keenan Allen's banged up here, and your running back, Melvin Ingram's banged up, I'm not going to, or Melvin Gordon, excuse me. I'm not really going to want to get too involved in that. And the line stinks, Gabe. Denver being a favorite on the road after watching them, quarterback banged up. You're also going to miss one of your wide receivers. Demaryius Thomas is even banged up as well. I don't want any part of that game. You're right, man.
All right, Donnie. So, for the record, it's down to 3.5 right now, Seattle Seahawks. I do like the Seahawks in that game. Monster Sunday nighter tonight. You like the Seahawks in that game, too? Well, me and Donnie will be back at halftime to talk about the 4 o'clock games, including the big Sunday nighter tonight. Me and Big Man on Campus will be watching this game live right here on SBR as well. Support the program, guys. Go over to sportsbookreview.com. If you're going to bet today, pick up a free bonus, man. Get one of those 100% bonuses out of Sportsbook on Sportsbook Review's website. We'll see you guys as soon as the first game goes to the half. Me and Donnie go live until the last game's numbers are off the board. Donnie, may the winners be yours. I'll see you in about an hour and a half.
Love it. Join us at the half, fellas. See ya.
May the winners be yours, guys.